Hi, you're listening to Turning 75 when just yesterday I was 16. The place where you can let your hair down, enjoy being old, enjoy getting old, and understand how all of the decisions and all the thoughts and all the things you did your whole life led to this great time. And it is a good time. Hi, you're listening to Bonnie, and it is a good time. Today, I want to talk about some of the remembrances of things that are long gone that we'll never be able to get back. But sometimes I just have fun sitting down in my nothingness time and thinking about how life used to be and how it made me happy. Remember? No, you don't have to remember because they still have them. Because a couple years ago, my grandson was in a pharmacy with his mom, and he said, "Hey, mom, what is a 1 hour photo?" She didn't even stop to think about it. She said, "Well, it's where you can get your pictures developed." And then she realized he doesn't know about getting pictures developed. Now he's 18 right now, but at 15 or 16, he had no idea what it meant to have a 1 hour photo because you don't take that roll of film to the wherever you used to go and get them. What is it? Get pictures from them. What is it called when you take the roll of film to get the pictures? Anyway, you don't do that anymore. You take the picture on your phone, you turn around and look at it. I think that's a loss. I remember the many times where you had an event and you took pictures of the event and you would take the roll of film to get developed. That was the word I was looking for earlier. You get the film developed, and then you'd bring the pictures in a packet, and everyone would sit around passing the pictures around and laughing and talking. It's not the same with the phone. You look at the picture on the telephone and go, "Oh, okay." But it's not the energy. It's not the fun. It's not the sitting down and talking about the event and what happened and who said what. I think we've lost a lot from some things. Progress is good, but sometimes it takes away those special moments where everyone was gathered around to see the developed photographs of Mary Lou's wedding or whatever. But I got to thinking about that and other things that I was talking to my grandson about studying and how to study. And I said, "Oh, when I was in class, I took my notes in shorthand." And he's, "What's shorthand?" Now, I did work as a secretary once I graduated high school. I didn't go to college right away. I was not interested. Good thing I didn't go because I wouldn't have been as successful as I was when I decided to go back on my own and put my mind and my heart and my soul to it. But I was working as a secretary, and that was good. I took shorthand fast. I typed fast. I used to tell people I type like I live, fast with a lot of mistakes. But that was a previous life. It was a good life because the reason I went back to college after marriage, divorce, a child, is because I looked at the people I was the secretary for, my bosses, and said to myself, these are some dumb people. If they can get a degree and make all this money, as dumb as they are, I could be king of the universe. So I went back to school when I wanted to, when I was ready. 4 years later, I had a degree and my corporate career started. He didn't know what shorthand was. He doesn't take notes in lectures in school. You can either record it on your phone or whatever. You just don't have the use of the pencil and paper like we did when we were in school. When I was in college, I took my notes in shorthand, but I couldn't study from shorthand. So what happened was I would come home and transcribe the notes when I had free time. That ended up being a good decision because later I found out the value of writing something down, taking a pencil in your hand and writing it down. I'm going to come back to that. I'm an avid reader, but lately I've been having a hard time finding a book that holds my interest. The writers of today are different than the writers back when I was younger, when I read Hemingway and Mitchum and all those wonderful, great writers, Scott Fitzgerald. And I wrote letters to my girlfriends who lived across town. Did you guys do that? I wrote them letters. We couldn't talk on the phone a whole long time. We had a 10-minute limit. There were 3 girls in the house with my mom and dad, and I think we had a 10-minute limit on the phone time, which made sense. 3 girls, yeah. So we would write letters to each other. I remember sitting in my bedroom, with the angst of growing up and being in love or whatever, and writing poems and different things like that. I remember when my ex-husband was in college, he would write me letters, love letters sometimes, but just letters. No one writes anything anymore. My grandson's handwriting was so bad that one of his teaching assistants said, I don't know what your grade because I can't read your writing. So this past summer, we got him some books on handwriting, and I just looked at him after he was going through the books and said, you're just going to have bad handwriting. That's it, period, dot. But at least make the handwriting legible for someone else to have to read. Who writes anymore, though? My mom, when she was living, she would write letters. We lived away from home. I lived in a different city, and she would write letters. When her grandkids went to college, she would write them letters. And I said to her one time, why are you writing those letters? She said to me, everyone likes to get a letter every now and then. And I thought about it. It used to be fun opening up the letter and reading what someone had to say to me. That was interesting. An art that's gone away. Writing, though, is important for many different reasons. And it makes me sad to think that no one's going to write anything anymore. Writing is more than just taking a pencil and putting it to a piece of paper. When I was helping people write business plans, I was working with the SBA, helping people develop and, launch their businesses. Well, I had to help people with the business plan. You may be a great cook, but maybe you can't write a business plan. I can't cook, but I can write a business plan. And so that was what I did for a couple of years as part of I had my own business. People don't know how to write anymore. College graduates don't know how to write anymore. And it's a shame to see that go. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's a shame for a couple of reasons. Now, I don't get spiritual on this podcast because I don't think that's what I'm here for. I was raised in the church, had to go to church every Sunday. That's just how it was. I was raised Presbyterian. And I know that it didn't resonate with me. I had too many questions. When I was younger, I had too many questions about what I was learning in Sunday school and in church. I would ask my parents about it, and they really didn't have answers that satisfied me. So I went on my journey. I went on my spiritual journey. And in college, I took a couple of classes in comparative religions. I wanted to know. I wanted to figure it out. I wanted to understand what and why I was doing what I was doing, if I was doing it for the right reason that made me feel good. So I went through the journey, and I came up with a solution that works perfectly for me. I don't need to share with anybody else because everyone has to walk that path themselves. I've been helping my grandson walk his path because nowadays the Gen Zers and the next alpha generation, whatever it's called, they don't buy into the religion sight unseen like we used to. So he's going through his journey. I'm letting him go through his own journey, but also saying, here's how I look at some different things. And I was thinking about writing this morning, and I realized that people don't understand the value of writing. I will tell you, without getting spiritual, I love the Bible. The Bible is just a great book to read. I mean, I just always like reading the Bible because there's some things in there I think that are whole truths that we don't pay attention to anymore because the proofs, I look at them, are like a little bit of woo-woo that I can be sometimes. Like, okay, where are you getting these ideas from? The spirit of the universe. Let me tell you about how I always felt about writing. When I was writing my business plans, when I was writing out what I wanted to achieve. There was a book in the Bible, Habakkuk, one of them small books towards the end of the Bible, Habakkuk 2.2. Because I tell people, write these things down that you want to make it plain. And here is what the Berean Standard Bible tells you this: Habakkuk 2:2, chapter 2, verse 2. Then the Lord answered me, write down this vision and clearly inscribe it on tablets, so that a herald may run with it. That's the verse. For the vision awaits an appointed time. It testifies of the end and does not lie. Though it lingers, wait for it, since it will surely come and will not delay. Now translate that into the King James Version in the Bible, where it says, write the vision and make it plain upon tablets, that he may run who readeth it. Now, interpreting that, it comes out, write the vision. Write it down, make it plain. It's almost like the verse, speak those things that are not as if they were. And I'm always quoting that one. No, don't say I can't, I won't, it doesn't. Don't say it in the next. Speak those things that are not as if they were. I am prosperous. I am wealthy. I am successful. It is done. I'm just walking to my special glory. So write it down. And I've said this over and over again to people. When you really want something, and when you deserve something, and when you're willing to work for that something that you want to achieve out of life, write it down and make it plain. When I lived in Delaware, I had my own business, and I did welfare to work training programs. There was a young lady that also worked for the state, and I won't say we were friends. We were friendly acquaintances. We'd see each other and chat, hello and goodbye, but we didn't hang out. We didn't call each other. Like I said, we were friendly acquaintances. And I saw her one day, and she's walking towards me. I hadn't seen her in months. And I was going, oh, hey, how you doing? And she had her hand out in front of me. And I looked at her hand, and there's this rock, and it was gorgeous. She was engaged, of course. And I tell you this, I know a lot of people. If there was anyone that deserved happiness at this point in her life, it was her. I'm not saying any names or anything, because now she's a very successful senator. And she did very good for herself. I was just so happy for her. She said to me at that time, I journaled. I wrote down exactly what I wanted God to send me. And I wrote it down to the color of his toes. She just made it very plain. She told me whatever she wrote is exactly what came to her. I said to myself, let me go get a pen. But I wasn't at that point in my life. There were things I had to do that I could only do being single. She verified because she was so happy. She wrote it down. She made it plain. And it's important that we do that. And if we don't tell our future children the importance of writing it down, there's some things that you just keep from the Bible, no matter what you think about it. There's some things that spiritually work. I've written down many things. I write it down, and I just put it in my remembrance book, because you keep going back to writing it over and over again, then you're resetting that clock. Don't do that. When you pray for something, when you're praying that someone heals, or you're praying for anything that is for the benefit of you or someone, not just I'm praying to get rich. You got to earn it. You got to really work hard for it. Some things we need to keep doing, because there is something spiritually that comes to you when you do those types of things, when you write it down and make it plain. And you do it for other reasons too. It brings clarity to your thoughts. It helps you focus on the goals that you are trying to achieve. It drives you to do what it is when you don't feel like doing it, because you know it's important. It is something that prepares you for tomorrow and whatever your vision and your dream is. Writing it down, not typing it, taking a pencil in your hand and a piece of paper and writing it down. When you're studying, when you have a child that's studying, writing it down imprints it on your mind. I don't understand why people don't understand that. Taking notes, writing it down. When I have my book of sayings, I see a saying that is beautiful and it touches me, I write it down in my book. I have a book that I write it sideways, frontways, upside down with different colors and pens and pencils. I write it down. It keeps the feeling with me. And when you do that, it imprints those words in your heart, in your spirit, and in your mind. No matter how old you are, you may think, oh no, nothing's going to come to me. And you think that way and nothing's going to come to you. You're going to be absolutely right. I still have a lot that I want to come into my life. There are a lot of things that I want to do spiritually with my life. There's a lot of knowledge I want to attain. There are a lot of ways I need to help other people. I write it down. I make it plain. Try it. Try it. Seriously. Help your kids understand, or your grandkids, especially the grandkids, because again, they don't learn cursive. They don't learn handwriting in school. They don't know the importance for your soul. It's a soulful thing. Write it down. Make it plain. And then sit back and watch the magic of the universe.